What's good, y'all? Today I've got a guide for my DPS mains out there struggling to climb in ranked. I know it's pretty popular to hate on Instalog DPS right now, but they can't hate if you're playing the best on the team. After this video, you should be able to identify what DPS does what, who you're supposed to be targeting, and how you should be positioned to come out on top of every encounter. First, to be a good DPS, we have to talk about the different types of DPS in Marvel Rivals. We can break everyone down into 3 different groups with a special 4th group added. We'll talk more on that later in the video. The first type of DPS I want to talk about are the pokers, arguably the easiest DPS to pick up and play if you're used to FPS shooters like Call of Duty. Some examples of these are going to be Hella, Hawkeye, and Punisher. Next up, we've got the dive DPS, a little harder to pick up on, but some good examples would be Black Panther and Iron Fist. Third group we've got is flank DPS. A good example of this would be Psylocke. The final and fourth group is hybrid. A perfect example of this is our favorite DPS, Magik. She can do it all. Now that we went over the different types of DPS, I can get into explaining the roles of each one and how to succeed no matter which type you're playing. In my opinion, the easiest to pick up and play is poke DPS. It's the most normal for people who don't have a lot of experience in hero shooters. Your goal as a poke DPS is to get picks from the backline or a high ground off angle. This specific type of DPS relies heavily on good aim and good positioning. If you can hit your shots and hold a good off angle the whole game, you'll be extremely annoying to the other team. Ways to maximize value on this role would be to stick close to healers and try to target enemy healers. Dive DPS are a little harder to pick up, but can be very rewarding after some practice. These are mostly going to be the melee DPS. They excel at diving in and getting a pick or two and getting out. The trick to this type of DPS is going to be getting out every time. The best way to do this is to save a movement ability just for escaping. For example, Black Panther has his spinning kick first. Use only your spears, and once those are up, use your spinning kick to escape. Element of surprise on these characters is huge too. You can even think of it as a 10% damage boost. If you're a Panther player and you can move up without being spotted, it ups the chance of you getting a pick by a lot because no one expects you to be there, and if they have no cooldowns, they're just cooked every time. Flank DPS is a lot like poke DPS, but the main difference here is they have more movement abilities, allowing them to play mostly on their own without the team. As this DPS, you're always looking to get behind the enemy team. One way to improve on this type of DPS is just to learn the maps and all the different routes you can take. Also, if one spot is working and no one is paying attention to you, there is no need to move. Dish out as much damage as possible from this spot. Once they notice you, use your movement abilities to escape and reposition. Now with a hybrid like Magik, she's got the movement to flank, she's got the ability to stay and protect backline, and still give value to the team. Her passive allows her also to become a frontline DPS. The biggest tip I can give to have value on Magik is adapt based on how the enemy play. Magik is one of the most versatile DPS in the game, so use it. If the enemy team has a dive DPS, make it your sole purpose to protect the healers from the diver. If you're struggling to get picks on the backline, switch it up and go for the tank until the opportunity to take out a healer shows itself. Now that we've went over the different types of DPS, I can give some more general tips. First, as a DPS, your healer is your best friend, but the healer is also in love with your tank. You need to learn the maps and know at least a couple of the health pack locations. This will up your game tremendously, allowing you to stay alive longer, which ultimately keeps you in the fight longer. Positioning is everything as a DPS, and sadly it's a little situational and hard to teach, but generally speaking, it's always best to play an off angle. As DPS, an off angle, for those of you that don't know, is just an angle that isn't the main one. So say your team is shooting from one angle, you need to try and go around to the side or behind and get shots off there. This takes focus off the front line, which is good for you. If the healers are looking at you, they aren't healing their tanks, DPS. Lastly, dealing the most damage as possible on DPS isn't always a good thing. This is called feeding. You're doing constant damage but getting no picks, which means the supports are healing the enemy team to full over and over, which is charging their ults faster. The biggest culprits of this are going to be DPS like the Punisher, because he's always able to dish out a ton of damage, but without good aim, it's hard to get picks with. A good DPS will have the most final hits, but the least amount of damage in this game, purely based off just because of feeding. Just keep that in mind whenever you're playing a DPS. Your goal is not to drop 50k damage with 12 kills. That's not good. You spent the whole game feeding the enemy team's ults, and support ults are the biggest thing in the game right now. They're the strongest ults in the game. So just be mindful of how much damage you're putting out and how much impact it's actually having towards the game. Now that you know the different kinds of DPS and what they're all supposed to do, pick the one you think goes with your playstyle the most and just stick with them. The more you play your character, the more comfortable you'll be in your decision making and positioning with that character. Just remember to keep a good mental and do what your role is supposed to do, and if you do those things, there shouldn't be anyone hating, and you should climb through the ranks like it's nothing. Hope you guys learned something. If you did, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I post guides and gameplays every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I also do daily lives at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All my socials will be linked in the description below if you want to support. Let me know any future guides or characters you'd like to see me play down in the comments. Without further ado, it's love, peace.
I do not trust this motherfucker. No, shit. Yep. Ah, he's literally won. He's literally won. He's literally won. I knew he was gonna ult, bro. I already knew he was. That's such a tragedy, bro.
My soul is. Stop them!
I am Groot! The moon haunts you!
So they got to the next one.
Now might be a good time to stop them.
Okay, they'd have to be literally
Better stop that
perfect.
vehicle! I got you! Just in time.
Heed my command!
Anyone willing to help? Go have fun!
He slept me.
We've got trouble. We are undefeated!
Oh my god, dude, that's so unlucky.
And this is why.
No, I get blocked by the.
I was in trouble. Come, my minion!
Look behind you!
He's stopped in their tracks!
What vile creatures
So
Namor
much
has
for
summoned?
Namor cephalopod soldiers.
I got you!
The moon haunts you! Letting the dark child out.
Just about
Enemy
to
ahead
ult
of us.
behind y'all. What a punish.
Double KO!
Ah, that's so tragic. Oh,
Cut through space. I unleash Shakti's power!
We are undefeatable! Shield up! You make
What strange news?
invisible? Down to 30 seconds! Child!
oh wow.
Limbo! The final 10 seconds! Double KO! Final score!
It's in yogurt. Bananas and. Holy shit. Yeah!